Hello friends, myself Dr. Kirti Sriram Kulkarni and I am from Gokhale Education Society's Arts, Commerce and Science College Jawar. Friends, I welcome you all for the TYBSc Inorganic Chemistry Semester 6 and we are doing the chapter some selected topics. So in this we have already discussed about the group 18 elements, that is all inert gases. We have discussed about their discoveries, their methods of preparation and what are their different structures. So when they form compound, what are their possible structures and how they achieve the stability, that we have discussed in our last lecture. So in this lecture we will discuss about the uses of inert gases. So very first one is the helium, which is used for filling airships and balloon, although it is twice heavier than hydrogen. So it can easily lift near about 92% weight of that of the hydrogen. So this is very important property of helium, and therefore it is filled in the observatory balloon in the view of safety reasons, as hydrogen is quite inflammable, okay, and therefore it can diffuse easily through the fabric bag, whereas the helium is non-inflammable. So therefore most of the time helium is used to fill in the observatory balloons. Then it is also used as a diluent for oxygen, okay. So in this case maximum mixture of 80% of helium and 20% of oxygen is used in modern deep sea diving instead of nitrogen. So helium is much less soluble in the blood than the nitrogen, and therefore it is useful for the people who dive in deep sea. Also it is very useful in various type of inflating type of big aeroplanes. It is used in vacuum drying and in neon sign. Then helium can be also used for the preservation of food, as it does not support the life of organism. Then the liquid helium is also useful in cryogenic fluid to provide low temperature to study the various phenomenon at absolute zero. So therefore this is very useful in gas thermometers which are required at low temperature measurements. Along with this, helium is also useful in metallurgical processes, that is in titration or in preparation of titanium metal, as welding of magnesium. So this way there are abundant uses of helium. Then the second most important inert gas is neon. So neon has a characteristic property of producing beautiful orange red glow in an electrical discharge tube, and therefore it is used in neon lamps, okay. Then this neon lamp or neon light is a least refracting and has less, or we can say great penetrating power in the fog, and therefore sometimes these are useful for neon sign type of boards. Then neon is having a remarkable property of carrying exceeding high electric current even under high voltage, and therefore a mixture of neon and helium does not conduct electrical current till a minimum voltage is reached. Hence it is used in a safety devices for protecting electrical instruments such as voltmeter, relays, rectifiers, etc., which are working at high voltages. Then neon is also useful in the formation of chlorophyll, and hence it is used as a greenhouse gas. So in this way neon is also useful in various reactions and various applications. The third most important inert gas is argon. So it is mainly used for filling incandescent electrical bulb, and where actually the nitrogen is used, but instead of nitrogen nowadays argon is filled in electrical bulbs, and there is nothing kind of in danger for the life of the filament. It is a monoatomic gas, and there is no consumption of heat for the dissociation of this particular molecule at high temperature. It also prevents the volatilization of tungsten filament in the bulb, and therefore most of the time it is used for the filling of electrical bulb. At a small extent, the neon gas is also used for the illumination purpose. So, a mixture of argon along with mercury vapor in the discharge tube is used to give blue or green light. Then neon is also useful, or we can say argon is also useful in radio valves. Then it is also employed in welding and also other type of operation where there is absence of nitrogen and non oxidizing atmosphere. So, this way there are ample uses of argon. Next important gas is krypton and xenon. So, use of these particular gases are quite limited and very small quantity of gases are present in air. Therefore, not much applications are known, but these gases are even more superior than argon in filling of glass, or we can say electrical bulb. So, to a limited extent they can be also used in a discharge tube, that is neon signs. And finally, what is the application of radon? So, it is used in the treatment of cancer and it is used to have radioactive research. Therefore, for the radioactive type of work, radon is quite useful. So, this way we ends with the chapter of inert gases. Now, we will go to the next chapter, which is Introduction to the Bioinorganic Chemistry. So, we all know that bioinorganic chemistry is very important branch of inorganic chemistry, which identifies the inorganic compounds involved in various biological process. So, we all know that metals, non-metals are very important for the development of our body as well as various biological system. So, mainly it is the study of metal and non-metal in the biological system, and the advanced biochemistry also important for uh, the processes which daily basis take place in our body, and it support the organic biomolecules which play important role in starting and regulating many biological processes. Therefore, it is very important to study the role of inorganic constituent, or we can say inorganic metals and non-metals, to study the mechanism of various life processes. So, therefore, the bioinorganic chemistry is important branch of chemistry which is important to study the various processes in biological system. So, mainly we will see that there are many elements or constituents which are important in living bodies, okay, and these elements are of two types, that are organic and inorganic, okay. So, like protein, carbohydrates, these are organic type of molecules, and metal and biomolecules are inorganic type of biomolecules. So, there are near about 40 elements which are detected in a living human body. So, the elements which are very important are actually classified into three types. The first one is called as most abundant elements. So, the human body which is having most abundant means in large quantity, the elements are hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, phosphorus, sulfur and chlorine. So, these elements are found in a large amount in a human body. The second category is less abundant elements. Okay, so what are less abundant elements? The elements like manganese, ferrous, copper, cobalt, zinc, molybdenum and iodine are required in less amount, as well as they found in less amount in the human body. And the third category is ultra trace elements. So, ultra trace elements means which are required in very trace amount, very small amount, which are silicon, vanadium, chromium, nickel and bromine. So, these type of elements are required in very small amount, but still they are required for the proper functioning of human body. So depending upon their requirement and their role in biological process, they are classified as essential and non-essential elements. So there are three classes: most abundant, less abundant and ultra stress, and they are also classified as essential and non-essential elements. So what are essential elements? These are considered as essential because they play a very specific role in the human body, as well as maintaining a normal living state of a tissue or body. So absence or deficiency of these type of elements will lead to serious problems in proper functioning of human being. So if these essential elements are not present in a body in a sufficient amount, they will cause deficiency, and then there will be not a proper functioning of particular biological processes, and therefore they are very very important. So these essential elements are again of two types, which are micro elements and macro elements. Okay. So as the name suggests, the macro elements are the elements that are required in a large amount, okay, and that amount is more than 1 milligram. So they constitute about 60 to 80% of all inorganic mineral in the body. So macro elements include near about 12 elements, which are again carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sodium, potassium, calcium, then manganese, iron, phosphorus, sulfur and chlorine. So from the childhood we have learned about these particular elements, and we all know that for a proper functioning of our different biological processes, these elements are quite important. So the first four elements in this category are present in substantial amount in human tissues, and they are derived from carbohydrate, protein and liquid. So these all things are required for the body for these particular elements. So about 85% of total oxygen and 70% of total hydrogen occur in the form of water. So जो essential elements है जिसका एक main part है water, जिसमें हमें क्या मिलता है? ऑक्सीजन एंड हाइड्रोजन. So the second category is micro elements, which are the different elements which need in a small amount for the proper functioning of human body. Okay, so they are present in micro और nanogram level. तो इनका रिक्वायरमेंट भी कम होता है, बट दे ऑल आर ऑब्टेन फ्रॉम फूड. तो हम लोगों को ये सारे जो एलिमेंट्स है मैक्रोज एज वेल एज माइक्रोज, दे आर फुलफिल्ड बाय द डेली इनटेक ऑफ फूड. सो ये जो माइक्रो एलिमेंट्स है वो कौन कौन से? दे आर द कॉपर, जिंक, कोबाल्ट, मोलिब्डेनम, मैग्नीज, आयोडीन एंड फ्लोरीन. So these are all macro and micro essential elements. Then there is second category which is called as non-essential elements. तो ये जो non-essential elements है, they are found in a less amount than the essential element, and therefore they are called as non-essential element. But still they are found in a body, but their proper way of functioning or their importance is still not known. तो बॉडी में ये एलिमेंट हमें मिलते हैं, लेकिन उनका प्रॉपर जो वर्किंग है, फंक्शन है, वो अभी तक पता नहीं है. सो व्हाट आर दीज नॉन इसेंशियल एलिमेंट्स? दे आर ब्रोमीन, बोरॉन, सिलिकॉन, आर्गॉन, निकेल, एल्यूमिनियम, लीड, टीन, वैनेडियम एंड टिटेनियम. सो ये जो सारे एलिमेंट्स हैं ये भी बॉडी में मिलते हैं, लेकिन उनका प्रॉपर वर्किंग हमें अभी तक ठीक से पता नहीं है. So this way these metals and non-metals are very important as a part of our biological system. So we should know what is the role of these particular elements. So in a simple word we can say that metal constitute about 3% of human body weight, but the other non-metals, they have also important role in our body and the system of proper functioning. So they are also part of our blood stream. These metals and their chelates are very important for the different type of functioning of our body. तो कौन कौन से एलिमेंट्स है ये जो हमारे बॉडी में दिखाई देते हैं? सो वेरी फर्स्ट दे एक्ट एज अ कैटलिस्ट इन मेटाबॉलिकल प्रोसेस. ओके, so what are the categorical processes? They are these different type of elements which can be seen in this particular diagram. Okay, तो उनका रोल क्या है वो हम लोग देखते हैं पहले. The metal chelate act as a catalyst for various processes in body, as well as they can also useful in redox reaction. तो ऑक्सीडेशन स्टेट और रिडक्शन स्टेट इन दोनों में मेटल चिलेट हेल्प करते हैं. The third important is acid base reaction. Okay, so Lewis acid and Lewis bases, we all know that they are playing important role as acid and base reaction also in human body. Then they help in storage and transfer of either the metal ion or donor molecule and serve as agent for transmission of energy in animal and plant metabolism. So this way these different macro and micro elements have very essential role in proper functioning of our body. So if we don't take this, then there will be deficiency. Okay, and if we take in more amount, they are in excess in our body and again they can cause toxic effects. So therefore their sufficient or we can say optimum amount is required. ओके, सो अगर ज़ीरो इंटेक होता है, बहुत कम इंटेक होता है, देन देर इज़ डिफिशियंसी विच लैक द प्रॉपर फंक्शनिंग ऑफ बॉडी. और अगर ये एलिमेंट्स बॉडी में ज़्यादा हो जाते हैं, देन दे कैन कॉज टॉक्सिक इफेक्ट्स एज वेल एज डेथ, एंड देयर फोर their optimum or proper level in the body are very very important. So what are these different type of elements that we can see in this particular diagram or table? So there is arsenic, calcium, chromium, cobalt, copper, fluorine, iodine and iron. So because of these there are various deficiency which can cause वेरियस टाइप ऑफ डिसीजेज. लाइक अगर कैल्शियम बॉडी में कम हो जाता है तो देर इज़ ऑस्टियोपोरोसिस. ओके, और अगर वो ज़्यादा हो जाता है, एक्सेस हो जाता है, तो कैल्सिफिकेशन ऑफ टिश्यू एंड फॉर्मेशन ऑफ स्टोन आर फाउंड. उसी तरह क्रोमियम जो है वो भी ट्रेस अमाउंट में बॉडी में मिलता है. सो अगर उसकी डिफिशियंसी मतलब कमी हो जाए तो देर इज़ डिस्टर्बेंस इन कार्बोहाइड्रेट एंड प्रोटीन सर्कल और मेटाबॉलिज्म. और अगर वो एक्सेस हो जाए तो देर आर लंग डिसीजेस, टॉक्सिसिटी एंड किडनी डैमेजेस. सिमिलरली कोबाल्ट एंड कॉपर अगर उनकी कमी हो जाए बॉडी में तो देर इज़ एनीमिक डिसीज़ एंड ऑल्सो विल्सन डिसीज़. और अगर वो ज़्यादा हो जाए तो फिर से क्या हो सकता है, हार्ट फेलियर और विल्सन डिसीज़. फ्लोरीन भी हमें पता है इट इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर डेंटल हेल्थ. अगर वो ज़्यादा हो जाए तो देर आर मोटल टाइप ऑफ डेथ. आयोडीन इज़ वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट एंड इफ़ इट इज़ डिफिशिएंट इन आवर बॉडी देन देर इज़ प्रॉब्लम ऑफ गॉइटर. और अगर एक्सेस भी हो जाए तो भी हमें क्या हो सकता है, हाइपर लेवल, एंड देयरफॉर गॉइटर अगेन कैन ऑकर. एंड लास्टली देर इज़ आयरन विच इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर आवर प्रॉपर फंक्शनिंग ऑफ बॉडी. अगर उसकी कमी हो जाए तो देर इज़ एनीमिया, और अगर ज़्यादा हो जाए तो देर इज़ हीमोक्रोमेटोसिस. सो दिस टाइप ऑफ डिफरेंट deficiencies and excess are occur due to various elements. Then there is next one which are manganese, magnesium, molybdenum, silicon, sodium and zinc. तो उनकी वजह से भी अगर डिफिशेंसी होती है तो देर आर वेरियस प्रॉब्लम्स इन ग्रोथ. ओके, देर इज़ प्रॉब्लम रिगार्डिंग ब्लड प्रेशर एंड सर्कुलेटरी फेलियर्स. लेकिन अगर वो ज़्यादा अमाउंट में हो जाए तो भी हम लोगों को लंग डिसीज़, ब्लड प्रेशर, टॉक्सिक इफ़ेक्ट्स, इस तरीके से अलग अलग डिसीज़ दिखाई देते हैं. सो दीज आर द वेरियस फंक्शंस ऑफ एलिमेंट प्रेजेंट इन ह्यूमन बॉडी. नाउ वी विल डिस्कस अबाउट द रोल ऑफ मेटल आयन प्रेजेंट इन द बायोलॉजिकल सिस्टम. जैसे इनऑर्गेनिक एलिमेंट्स बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है। तो वो दो टाइप के हैं, मेटल्स एंड नॉन मेटल्स। उसी में हम लोग देखेंगे कि जो मेटल आयन है उनका बायोलॉजिकल सिस्टम में क्या इम्पोर्टेंस है। सो सबसे पहले आता है सोडियम एंड पोटेशियम। दीज आर वेल नोन मेटल्स विच आर प्रेजेंट इन अबंडेंट अमाउंट इन आवर बॉडी। तो उनका रोल क्या है? सबसे पहले वी विल डिस्कस अबाउट सोडियम, that sodium is both an electrolyte as well as mineral. It helps to keep the water level proper in our body. ओके तो सेल के अंदर और सेल के बाहर वाटर का प्रॉपर बैलेंस रखना या इलेक्ट्रोलाइट का प्रॉपर बैलेंस रखना, ये सोडियम का इम्पोर्टेंट रोल है। देन सोडियम इज ऑल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट इन nervous and muscular type of work. Most of the sodium in the body is about 85% which found in blood and lymphatic fluid. तो इस तरह ये सारे जो इम्पोर्टेंट रोल है टू मेंटेन द प्रॉपर इलेक्ट्रोलाइटिक लेवल इन ब्लड इज डन बाय सोडियम। तो इसी तरह दूसरा जो रोल है वो पोटेशियम का है। सो पोटेशियम इज ऑल्सो अ मिनरल दैट ऑकर इन आवर बॉडी and it need to work the proper body function. Then it is also kind of electrolyte and it help to nerve the proper functioning and muscle which contract and relax time to time, and the proper function is because of sodium and potassium. It also helps to regulate the heartbeat and kidney to work properly. So this way sodium and potassium both are very important to our body. ये हमें कहाँ से मिलते हैं? बाय वेरियस फ्रूट्स, वेजिटेबल, कॉमन सॉल्ट दैट इज़ अवर NaCl। पोटेशियम हमें मिलता है कॉफ़ी, टी, कोकोआ, ड्राई बीन एज वेल एज वेरियस फ्रूट्स लाइक बनानाज, ऑरेंजेस, पाइनएप्पल्स, पोटैटोज एक्सेट्रा। तो इनकी डेली रिक्वायरमेंट कितनी होती है? डेली रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ NaCl जो हम लोग सॉल्ट खाते हैं इट इज़ जस्ट 5 to 10 ग्राम, और जो पोटेशियम है इसकी रिक्वायरमेंट है 4 ग्राम डेली बेसिस। सो मीन्स ये जो है हमें बहुत ज़्यादा रिक्वायर्ड होते हैं बॉडी को, तो इसीलिए इनका प्रॉपर इंटेक करना बहुत ज़रूरी होता है। अगर इसका डिफिशियंसी हो जाए, मतलब बॉडी में अगर सोडियम और पोटेशियम इन दोनों की कमी आ जाए, तो देर इज़ प्रॉब्लम्स लाइक डायरिया, वोमिटिंग, ओके, एंड डिफिशियंसी ऑफ इलेक्ट्रोलाइट्स। So therefore a proper maintenance of sodium and potassium is very important. अगर ये बॉडी में एक्सेस हो जाए, ज़्यादा हो जाए, है ना, लोग या डॉक्टर कहते हैं कि सोडियम मतलब नमक कम खाना। तो क्यों कम खाना है? क्योंकि अगर वो ज़्यादा हो जाए सो देर इज़ डिफरेंट हेल्थ कंडीशंस लाइक हार्ट डिसीजेस, ओके, excessive blood pressure, there can be also kidney diseases, and therefore proper maintenance of sodium and potassium in our body is very important. Then we will see what are their role in various biological processes. ये क्या काम करते हैं बॉडी में? So sodium is a major cation in blood plasma that is outside the cell. तो ब्लड प्लाज्मा जो है सेल के बाहर होता है, एंड देयरफॉर इट हैज़ अ मेजर पार्ट एज अ सोडियम which is also called as extracellular activity, while potassium is a major cation which is found in cytoplasm which is present inside the cell, and therefore it is called as intracellular activity. सो ये जो इंट्रासेल्युलर एंड एक्स्ट्रासेल्युलर एक्टिविटीज़ है ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं. So in other word we can say that inside the cell or tissue there is high concentration of potassium, okay, and there is low concentration of sodium. तो इंट्रासेल्युलर सेल के अंदर कौन होता है? साइटोप्लाज्म, और उसका मेन पार्ट कौन है? पोटेशियम. और सेल के बाहर देर इज ब्लड प्लाज्मा, उसका मेन पार्ट कौन है? sodium. Okay, so therefore inside the cell there is potassium and there is low concentration of sodium inside, while outside the cell and tissue there is blood plasma which has high concentration of sodium and low concentration of potassium. तो होता क्या है कि we can see the structure of a cell. इस सेल के अंदर देखो, ये जो सेल है जो दिखाई गई है उसके अंदर कौन है? देर इज़ हाई कॉन्सेंट्रेशन ऑफ सोडियम, और सेल के बाहर देर इज़ हाई कॉन्सेंट्रेशन ऑफ वी कैन से सोडियम, बाहर सोडियम ज़्यादा है और सेल के अंदर पोटेशियम ज़्यादा है. So the difference in sodium and potassium concentration inside and outside cell create a potential difference across the cell membrane. इसे हम potential gradient भी कह सकते हैं. So these allow the nerve fibers to conduct impulses and muscle to contract or relax. तो सेल के अंदर पोटेशियम ज़्यादा है और सेल के बाहर सोडियम ज़्यादा है, तो इन दोनों का प्रॉपर कॉन्सेंट्रेशन मसल के रिलैक्सेशन और कॉन्ट्रैक्शन में हेल्प करता है. सो दे मेंटेन द सेंसिटिविटी ऑफ नर्व्स एंड कंट्रोल द मसल. सो सोडियम आयन depresses the activity of muscle exile and they are required for also the muscle contraction. And sodium we can say potassium ion permits the heart muscle to relax between the muscle and heart. So this way there is proper functioning of sodium and potassium to have proper functioning of the muscle as well as heartbeat. So इनके क्या क्या फंक्शन और है वो हम नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में देखेंगे. Till that you take care and stay safe. Thank you.